Hi guys, welcome to today's Zoo to You. I'm Bridget. I'm a senior keeper here at Stone Zoo and I'm with our markhor herd today. They just got some browse. Browse is tree material that's edible around the zoo. All the keepers here are trained on what trees and plants are edible for these guys. So you might be walking around the zoo thinking that it might be a good idea to throw some leaves because you've seen leaves in exhibits, but there are toxic plants around, so we don't want to be doing that. You want to keep feeding all the animals up to the zookeepers. I'm here with Katie. We're trying out a new mic today, so we're not sure if Katie will be heard on the iPhone or if just I'll be heard. So just bear with us. I might repeat things that are coming from Katie that you might have already heard from her, but I am not sure.
So, Bridget, would you be able to tell us a little bit about the markhor goat herd here at the zoo?
Sure. So Katie asked me about the markhor herd that we have here at Stone Zoo. We have 6 females at the zoo. You may have seen in the past, we've had males in the past. They look a little bit different than these guys. These guys are a little bit smaller. They have smaller horns. You're probably used to thinking of those guys with giant spiral horns, and that's what the males look like. So they're really big and impressive. These guys are smaller. They're a little bit more petite, but they're still bosses. Markhor herds are kind of made up of the female behaviors, and there's definitely a hierarchy within these guys. So this is Maya, closest to me. She's definitely the boss, and then it kind of goes down from there. But they usually live in female groups in the wild, and sometimes probably one male. The males fight for dominance as well as reproductive rights, so you wouldn't really find males hanging out together. Just like in our exhibit, you don't really typically see a bunch of males in here.
And where are markhor goats native to?
So Katie just asked me where the goats are native to in the wild. They live in the Himalayas. As you can see in the exhibit behind them, their exhibit tree is really rocky, which is actually a natural formation here in Stoneham, which is really great because it's wonderful for both the markhor as well as other animals that live in this area. A lot of times you'll see them hanging on just a bit of a cliff. They need very little to stand on. They're very, very impressive climbers.
And do markhor have any natural predators?
They sure do. So different types of wolves in the Himalayas predate on these guys, as well as I'm sure if you've been here, you've seen the snow leopards are right next door. The snow leopards are a predator to these guys, but it is a pretty impressive battle as they're both really good climbers. So the goats definitely have an advantage at climbing away and getting at really steep places.
And are markhor endangered?
Markhor are not endangered. They're listed as near threatened right now. Some of the things that affect them is habitat loss, as well as herders using lands for grazing for their livestock. When that resource and land is taken away from wild animals, it can be really detrimental to the wild species like ibex, markhor, argali. So actually the Snow Leopard Trust works on that with herders to make more sustainable choices about the animals that live in that area, so that everyone has a chance, because a large goat population, a large ungulate population in that area actually affects the population of the snow leopard. So as you can see, she is the boss. So when you up the wild ungulate population, you're actually helping to up the wild snow leopard population. So that's really cool.
So we are going to answer some frequently asked questions that we get about the goats. But if you are watching, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat and we will do our best to answer them a little later on. But Bridget, do you have a favorite markhor to work with?
I sure do have a favorite markhor. Unfortunately, she's being camera shy. Hi, baby. So my favorite markhor, oh, it's just her show. My favorite markhor is Britt Jr. If you have been at Stone Zoo in probably literally any of the days of the 6 years that I've worked here, you've probably heard me calling to her. Me and Britt are lifelong friends. She's the oldest markhor that I currently know. So she's kind of a cool woman. So, so she and I are going to be friends for life. Can't possibly think of my life without her.
So speaking of life, could you tell us what the markhor lifespan is?
Yeah, so they can live up to about 20 in human care, probably about half that in the wild. Brittany is about 19 years old, so she's up there. She's elderly. She's very wise, and she's very knowledgeable. So you know how knowledge and stuff comes with years.
And do you do any grooming with the markhor here at the zoo?
So unlike domestic goats, markhor are not. Oh my goodness, are not groomed. So as you can see, they're kind of hesitant to come up to me. I give them a lot of tree material and browse, so they have kind of a special bond with me. They trust me. This is like really, really good trust. And she still doesn't want to come that close to me, so we wouldn't be grooming them. They use their horns to scratch off their winter coat, unlike the domestic goats that we definitely do groom.
And how many offspring do markhor typically have?
They can have 2 to 4. 2 is probably more common. A couple of her offspring are twins. 1 is also pretty common, so anything in that group we have seen here at the zoo. All right, guys, so I think that's all the time we have today to hang out with a markhor. Thanks for catching up with us, and be sure to check out our Zoo to You tomorrow at 1:30.